long-faced troubled man with an unconvincing baseball cap pushed far back on a reflective forehead, dragged both hands down his face and sighed. Hauling himself from his canvas chair, he strode over to the dead young man and knelt mately next to the mortuary slab. "Right, so, Lazarus, tell me, is there a problem?" "No, Chris, it's all good for me. Because, how can I say this? At present, you're doing a little too much." "Yeah, sorry about that." The director peered at his watch and rubbed the red indentations left by his baseball cap. "Because it's getting on for 2:30 and what's your name again?" "Stephen. Stephen McQueen. With a PH. No relation." "No relation." "Well, Stephen with a PH, it's getting on for 2:30 and we haven't even started on the autopsy." "Yes, of course, it's just, you know, with the lights and nerves and everything. It's not as if you have to perform. All you have to do is bloody lie there." I realise that, Chris. It's tricky, you know, not to visibly breathe for that long." "No one's asking you not to breathe." "No, I realise that," said Stephen, contriving a chummy laugh. "Just don't lie there taking bloody great gulps like you've just run the 200 metres, okay?" "Okay. And don't grimace. Just give me something neutral." "Okay. Neutral. But, apart from that?" "Apart from that, you're doing terrific work. Really. And do you think we'll be done by 6? It's just that I've got to be—" "Well, that's up to you, isn't it, Steve?" said the director, resettling the cap, stalking back to his canvas chair. "Oh, and Steve," he shouted across the set, "please don't hold your belly in. You're meant to be bloated." "Bloated. Okay. Bloated." "Right places, everyone," shouted the first AD, and Stephen settled once again on his marble slab, adjusted the damp underwear, closed his eyes, and did his best to pretend to be dead. The secret of truly great screen acting is to do as little as possible, and this is never more important than when playing an inanimate object. In a professional career lasting 11 years, Stephen C. McQueen had played 6 corpses now, each of them carefully thought through and subtly delineated, each of them skillfully conveying the pathos of being other than alive. Keen not to get typecast, he had downplayed this on his CV, allocating the various corpses intriguing charismatic leading man names like Max or Oliver, rather than the more accurate, less evocative body or victim. But word had obviously got round the industry. No one did nothing at all quite like Stephen C. McQueen. If you wanted someone to be pulled from the Grand Union Canal at dawn, or lie slack, broken and uncomplaining across the bonnet of a car, or slump prone at the bottom of a muddy First World War trench, then this was the man. His very first job after leaving drama school had been Rent Boy 2 in Vice City, a hard-hitting prime-time crime show. One line. Rent Boy 2, Geordie accent. "Why, aye, you're looking for a good time, mister." Then a long hot afternoon spent with his arm dangling out of a black trash bag. Of course, at 32, his rent boy days were some way behind him now, but Stephen C. McQueen could still usually pass muster, as most other remains. But for some reason, today his technique was letting him down. This was a shame because Summers and Snow was a TV institution, and in a few months upward of 9 million people would settle down in front of the telly on a Sunday night to see him swiftly strangled, then lying here, inert in a stranger's underwear. You'd be hard-pushed to call it a break as such, but if the director liked what he did, or didn't do, if he got on with his co-stars, they might use him again, to play someone who walked about, moved his face, spoke out loud. First rule of showbiz, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Stay professional, be positive, be committed. Always have a motivation. The trick is to impress. Always ensure that people like you, at least until you're famous enough for it not to matter anymore. Waiting for the next take, Stephen sat up straight on the cold slab and stretched his arms behind his back till he felt his shoulders crack. Important not to stiffen up. Important to keep limber. He glanced round the set in the hope of striking up a conversation with his fellow actors. Craggy, stern, ex-alcoholic loner detective Inspector Tony Summers, and perky, independent-minded Constable Sally Snow were in a tight little huddle some way off, sipping tea from plastic cups and confidently eating all the best biscuits. Stephen had always nursed a bit of a crush on Abigail Edwards, the actress playing Constable Snow, and had even worked out a throwaway little joke he could use in conversation about his role. "It's a living, Abby," he would quip self-deprecatingly out of the side of his mouth in between takes, then raise a mouldy eyebrow, and she'd laugh, eyes sparkling, and perhaps they'd swap numbers at the end of filming, go for a drink or something. But the opportunity had never arisen. In between takes, she'd barely acknowledged him, and clearly, in Abigail Edwards' eyes, he might as well be, well, dead. A cheery makeup artist appeared by Stephen's side, spritzed him with water, and dabbed his face and lips with Vaseline. "What's her name, Deborah?" Another rule of showbiz. Always, always call everyone by their name. "So, how do I look, Deborah?" he asked. "It's Janet. You look gorgeous. Funny old job this, isn't it? Still, it's a living," he quipped, but Janet was already back in her canvas chair. "Quick as you can, please, people," barked the first AD, and Stephen lay back down on the mortuary slab like a large, wet fish. "Keep still. Don't let them see you breathe. Remember, you are dead. My motivation is not to be alive. Acting is not reacting." The C in Stephen C. McQueen, incidentally, was there at the insistence of his agent, to prevent any confusion with the international movie star. It was not a mistake that anyone had yet made. Meet number 12. The New Romantic. Lucky Lucy Chatterton makes eyes at the hot young actor who's setting London's glittering West End and Hollywood on fire. There was only one response when I told female friends I was about to interview Josh Harper. Sheer, unadulterated envy. "Lucky old you," they sighed. "Any chance of getting his phone number?" Sitting opposite him in an exclusive West End members club, it's easy to see why. Still only 28, Josh Harper is Britain's hottest and prettiest young actor, recently voted the 12th sexiest man in the world by readers of a well-known women's magazine. He shot to fame 4 years ago when he became the youngest actor ever to win a BAFTA for his heartbreaking performance as Clarence, the mentally handicapped young man waging a battle with terminal disease in acclaimed TV drama Seize the Day. Since then, he's had huge success on the stage as a sexually charged Romeo, and on the silver screen as a psychotic cross-dressing gangster in ultra-violent Brit crime flick Stiletto, while still finding time to save the world in futuristic thriller Tomorrow Crime. Christmas sees the release of his biggest movie yet, big-budget Hollywood sci-fi adventure Mercury Reign. But at present, he's resisting the siren call of Hollywood to play another dashing rake, Lord Byron in the critically acclaimed West End show Mad, Bad and Dangerous to Know. It's Byron's life told through his own words, his letters, poems and journals, he says, sipping his double espresso and looking at me with those unnervingly clear blue eyes. It's an amazing story. In a way, Byron was the first rock star, international fame, women throwing themselves at him. But he was really radical too, and really into politics, just like me. All of that, plus he was bisexual, had an incestuous relationship with his sister, and a club foot. A wild and crazy guy. Does he identify with the character in any way? I ask. What, apart from the club foot? He laughs. Well, we're both passionate, I suppose, and I'm really into politics, especially in the environment. I'm a happily married man, of course, and my sister's great, but you know, there are limits. Josh Harper throws his head back and laughs again, a warm, big-hearted guffaw. At the next table, 2 women look across at us. Is that envy I see in their eyes? He goes on to tell me about how he likes to mix theatre with bigger-budget commercial work. Hollywood still holds a fascination for Josh, though he's not about to move there full-time just yet. Mercury Reign was great fun, running about in spacesuits, waving guns around. But with those big sci-fi things, most of the time you're just acting to thin air, so they can stick the special effects in later. Still, I hope it's a bit more sophisticated and intelligent than most of those kind of movies.